All right, folks, let me tell you something. New York is cooked, overcooked, fried, burnt. Socialism is coming. It's here in New York. Check it out.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line and make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease. And we are going to create universal childcare at no cost to parents. So New Yorkers can raise their family in the city they love. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal... We will make our city one where every person who calls it home can live a dignified life.
All right, folks, listen. I want to try to break this down with everything that he wants to do, right? He wants to freeze rents. He wants free buses throughout the city, and he wants universal childcare. So I'm going to try to break this down pretty quickly. I hope I can do it pretty quick, under 10 minutes, because TikTok gives me 10 minutes. Anyways, but please, listen. If you like this video, once it's done, share, subscribe, like, do everything you can to put this out there so people understand what's going on in New York. My shorts get pretty okay views, but my long term, I don't know why. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but please like, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do to spread this out. And I'm trying to grow my channel. Anyways, with that said, let's talk about the first thing, right? We're talking about rent freezes. And of course, I'm going to be reading notes on my monitor, because I can't remember everything. But anyways, check it out. So the first thing, as when it comes to rent freezes, is the fact that there's a reduce in housing supply. So when you freeze rents, developers, what they do is they may sell properties or convert them to condos or short-term rentals. Developers may build fewer rental units because potential profits shrink. Now, once again, remember that there's no profit if there's a rent freeze. So a landlord is he runs a business, right? So every now and then you got to adjust prices. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, listen, I can say that sometimes it can be a little abusive, but this rent freeze thing is not going to help. Second thing is that decline in property maintenance. That's very simple, right? So landlords rely on rent and the profit they make off of rent to maintain the properties, right? If they're not getting profit or enough profit because there's a rent freeze, the property is not going to be maintained the way it would be if they're making profit or good profit, right? So then that means it's a decline in the appearance of the rental property, meaning, you got an issue with plumbing or whatever. It's a decline because the landlords are not going to have the profit to come out lickety split and fix that issue, right? Third thing, distorted market incentives. Rent freezes break the normal supply and demand balance, meaning tenants stay longer in below market units even though they can leave. New tenants end up paying more because these properties that they're looking for are being rented at a higher price. All right. Fourth thing, reduce tax revenue. This is very important, right? Because for all these projects that Mamdani wants to do, right? What is it going to take for him to do this? Pretty much, basically, the bottom line is he's going to raise taxes because he's got to make more money, right? So if he freezes rent, the tax revenue is not going to be there because the rents are stagnant. They're staying at the same level. There's no profit for landlords to pay more taxes into the system. Therefore, what he wants to do with universal health, child care, and free buses, the revenue that he would be getting from rental properties, that's one of the ways he can get, revenue, tax revenue, right? It's not going to be there. It's going to be less. Next thing, investments flights. Developers and investors may avoid cities with strict rent freezes. Shifting capital to markets with freer pricing. Over time, this can slow economic growth and urban revitalization. Meaning, guess what? If a developer realizes he's not going to make money in the city of New York, he's going to leave. He's going to get the heck out of New York, which a lot of people have already done. Leave New York because the taxes are already too high. And now you got this socialist guy coming in, and he's just going to increase taxes even more. One example of how this, of these socialist individuals coming into cities is London. Look at London. Mayor Khan of London, right? He came in and he says, he's a light socialist Democrat. You know what I'm saying? And just look at London. Look it up. I could break that down into a whole nother video. Just look at London and what they're going through and what's happening in London right now with the immigration and all this. And I'm sure that, Mamdani is all for immigration. Why? And I'll show you that later in a graph, because they draw in these immigrants and they offer the immigrants free stuff, free this, free that. Who they're going to vote for? For Mamdani. Anyways, with that said, let's move on to the free buses. Now, remember what I said was that, the revenue from freezing rents is not going to be there like it used to be, or like it should be when there's no freeze on rents. So remember, he wants to give free bus fares. And I'm going to tell you, let me just give you examples of how this would be a failure. First thing, like I said, major revenue loss. The MTA collects hundreds of millions annually from bus fares. Eliminating fares would create a massive budget gap that must be filled by higher taxes. Remember that I said that earlier. Higher taxes, state subsidies, or cuts elsewhere, right? And then without sustainable funding, it could lead to service cuts, layoffs, and deferred maintenance. So how is this going to help the people of New York, the voters of New York, where eventually you're going to get layoffs? Think about it, people. And I don't understand how some of these New Yorkers want this, and they're cheering this in this freaking rally. They're cheering for this, but it's because they're uninformed. Next thing, potential for overcrowding and disorder. Free buses tend to attract more riders, right? It makes sense, right? It's free. I'm going to jump on the thing. What will that do? It would diminish the service that these buses are providing to people. All right. More people, the buses are going to slow down. The scheduling is going to be missed. The maintenance of the buses is going to be poor because it's just so much more people. You know what I'm saying? Buses may become overcrowded. On-time performance could worsen. Some systems that went fare-free saw increased nuisance behavior, meaning loitering, vandalism, fare evasion, spillover. Come on, people. It can't be any more clear than this. Last thing is universal child care. All right? Let's talk about that. The key downfalls of universal child care. First thing is massive cost, fiscal sustainability. For example, one estimate for NYC pegged the cost at roughly $6 billion annually just for universal childcare and the Memorial Candidates platform. Because childcare is labor intensive, many staff per child, regulatory requirements, facilities, etc., scaling up care seats and paying competitive wages, especially given workforce shortages, drives costs up. All right. And what's that going to do? Like, you're going to have all these people bringing their kids into the system for childcare for free. Remember that. What is that going to do? That's going to put a burden on the caregivers, right? They don't get paid that much. They only get paid about $25,000 a year. What do you think people are going to do? What do you think these caregivers are going to do? These child caregivers are going to do? they're probably going to quit. So you're going to have all this free childcare for the whole city of New York, and you're going to have less people that are willing to take care and take that job on. So either you just don't do it, or you raise the salary of these individuals, which means what? It's going to cost more for the city to run this program. And what else? It's going to raise taxes, because where they're going to get the revenue from. It's a cycle. Everything comes from one thing. And this guy, he won't tell you where he's going to get the money from. All right? Anyways, next thing, quality resolution of standards. One of the critiques from research is that simply expanding access without ensuring high quality can lead to weaker outcomes for children. A study of a universal child care program in Quebec found some negative effects on non-cognitive development for children who spent more years in lower quality universal care. So basically, they're saying that, kids are not going to learn as good as they should learn because it's going to be overcrowded. It's going to be too many kids in there, right? So that's another negative. Next thing, supply constraints, bottlenecks. The current system already is struggling to meet demand. For example, only a fraction of eligible infant/toddler seats are available subsidized in NYC. Expanding to universal birth to 5 means dramatically increasing capacity, facility staff, licensing, oversight that has big lead times and costs. Without building the supply side, you may create long wait lists, inequities in who gets access first, or universal in name only. So basically, folks, the system is going to be overcrowded, right? That's basically what they're saying. You're going to have to build more facilities. You're going to have to pay more people. So overall, yeah, you're giving that free stuff, that free childcare to families. But in the long run, you're going to end up spending more money, building facilities, and hiring more people. And it's just not sustainable. So please, if you're a New Yorker, see this, research it, and understand that this guy is not going to be good for New York. He's not. Listen, Cuomo's not good either. He's a Democrat. He's a sleazeball also. And he was kicked out, he was fired from his freaking job as a governor. He's no good. But I tell you what, freaking Sweetwall and Cuomo will be better than this guy. Because this guy is a socialist. He wants to give everything free to everybody, and it's not sustainable. It doesn't work. Socialism has never worked anywhere. It will never work anywhere. All right? With that said, please, folks, like, subscribe, share, help me build this freaking channel. Buy me a cup of coffee. The link is in the bio, and I'll see you in addition.